Okay, ready. Right, a warm welcome to everyone who's on the line. We've got a handful of people here, but I think most of it is online today. So we're pretty excited about this this particular forum because it is so relevant to what we do at Market Leakage Association. It's all about markets. So first up, we'll hear from ARDA about the work they're doing all over Zimbabwe. And then Robson from TechnoServe will focus in on one particular area in Shirugwe, where they're doing some work with the private sector. So I didn't manage to speak too much to Kuda about his background. I know he's regional manager, but which region is that? So most of the country. Anyway, so maybe Kuda, if you could come up and then just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been. So if you stand here, then the people online will be able to see you. Thank you. Right. So the floor is yours. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Maybe as a sort of an introduction about myself, I think I'll just give sort of a background in the industry and then how I came to ARDA. For the past 14 years, I've been in the agriculture industry where I worked in the public sector, that is the government. Then I've moved also to the private sector, the cotton industry, in the tobacco industry. Then I moved in the NGO sector, mainly focusing on horticulture and most food crops. I worked in the 8 provinces in the country, except for ARDA and flower, where agriculture is key. I've also worked in the development, whereby we're doing mostly sales provision for tractors and also coming up with farming tips that are being distributed to farmers. I joined ARDA 9 months ago as a regional manager, responsible for the rural development and industrialization pillar, which I'm going to draw much on my presentation. So that's the brief about myself. And maybe I'll dive into my presentation. I'll make it very short, precise, so that we have time for questions and answers. First of all, for my CEO, apologies, couldn't make it. All directors and heads of government, the heads of department in the ministry, they went for a strategic meeting that is currently going on, and it will end on Friday. So I came in, standing in for our CEO, Timothy Daniko. Before I move on to my presentation, I'll just give sort of a brief background. The ARDA that we know, 1980, in the last 10 years, it's no longer the ARDA that we know. But there's a lot of restructuring is going on for ARDA. We have a new board that is being led by Craig Ivan, more experience in the social sector, seed production, commercial production. So he's our board chair. And Tinote Ndamiko, yeah. He has vast experience in case food, equipment, eco farmer. I came from Russia, where you develop business and PhD where it's focusing on digital commercialization So below him, he has a team of directors, which also have a commercial experience. Some of the guys that are coming from Afghanistan, some of the guys that are coming from Montclair farms, and group of companies that were doing agriculture in the country. And also we have a team also worked in the NGO sector and also in the commercial sector. So really we're in capable hands of guys who want to see ARDA taking a new direction. So really ARDA have been given a new mandate to actually drive and take this trajectory to say we just have to make sure that at national level we get food sufficiency for food, feed, fiber, and biofuel. So you find ourselves whereby we have 3 pillars that we are driving that I'll briefly explain. The first pillar that we are driving is ARDA, is the commercial services department, which does have a director. The commercial services department, we offer a number of services. The first one is to offer tillage services and whatever that you might want for primary and secondary tillage in terms of equipment and harvesting. So we do have combines, we do have tractors, we do have, so it falls under commercial services. So it's one of the pillars that is for revenue generation for the organization. Then I'll move on to the second pillar that we are driving as an organization. We have the agriculture and agro industry. It does have its own director. Then these are the guys who are driving the estates. We have 23 estates across the country. Some under partnership and some we are directly now managing those estates. Then lastly, I think I'll draw much on this pillar, which is very key, and I know that's where we are going to have a lot of discussion around this pillar. This is the rural development and industrialization pillar, which I'll focus more on what I'm going to be presenting. So for the rural development and industrialization pillar, we do have a director at national level, then regional managers and regional agronomists and scheme business managers. And we also want to move into processing as well. So without wasting time, I'll move on to my presentation, the actual presentation. I really thought maybe it's necessary that I give you sort of a background of where we are coming and where we want to go. So I'll give you a context. Okay. I'll give you a context from an Africa perspective and in terms of where we see the state of agriculture in Africa. 65% of the world's uncultivated arable land is in Africa. Meaning to say other continents, they'll squeeze themselves in the balance to make it happen. And 51% of Africans are engaged in agriculture, of which 60% live in the poor communities, of which that's where actually ARDA is focusing more on the law development and looking at the lives of people. Then having such a figure, having such a percentage, 25% of Africa's GDP is actually drawn from agriculture. And looking at where they currently stand as of 2019, it's actually a $65 billion field that needs also to be addressed in Africa. But in terms of population growth, we will find population growth expanding from the class up to evolving going forward. You find we are likely to double or even go beyond even 400% in terms of population. So in terms of impact, when we are looking at 2050, we are likely to be having 2.5 billion people living in Africa. And that will increase in terms of food demand by 60%. And actually, building by 2030 should be having a 1 trillion space in terms of food requirements for Africa. So there's a lot of scope in terms of what we can do and what we can take into even those figures. So that's why you could see even those who are in mobile network, like Econet, given this information, they're now focusing also how best they can step into the set. Okay. At the back of our mind, in as much as ARDA, we are focusing on rural development, but also there's the issue of climate change. Seasons are changing. So as we are putting up our strategy, we really have to take into consideration that as climate change, we have to be relevant and make sure that we cope up with the emerging stressors. Then I'll move on to what we are doing as rural development and industrialization. We have key initiatives that we are driving as a pillar. The first one have to do with irrigation scheme. I will explain that in detail. Whereby we have a V30 accelerator model. I will explain that in detail later on. Then the second initiative is on daily development program, whereby we're targeting 23 new collection centers dotted around the country. Then we do have a presidential rural development program targeting, or we intend to establish 35,000 nutrition gardens. In the country, we have 35,000 villages. So we have a target by 2030 to make sure that we establish those gardens. Then the fourth pillar that we are pushing is ARDA, integrated youth incubation hubs. We are going to establish 10 integrated youth incubation hubs, meaning to say we are going to have one for each province, and we are going to promote a number of value chains, but it's more focused on chemical production, and we want what that hub that we are going to establish to be a center of excellence. I'll explain in detail on that. Then the fifth one that we are also driving, and that's our focus, that is the industrialization plan, which is the future. We really want to say whatever we are going to produce, either from the irrigation schemes, from the gardens, from the incubation hubs, we have to process that. And as we process that, we want the farmer or the rural household to benefit. So let me go into detail for the 5 initiatives that I've just mentioned. For the irrigation schemes, we were given a mandate by the government to look at irrigation schemes. But allow me to go to the next slide, because for us to go that route or to be given that mandate, there was really a problem in the irrigation schemes. And one of the problems that we have in irrigation schemes is that poor scheme governance leading to viability challenges and sustainability challenges. I know with SAO, the previous project that they were doing with irrigation schemes, they found out about 14 million of the schemes that they rehabilitated. 14 in Mashinga. I was privileged to be part of that project. Of the 14 that we rehabilitated, only now 9 are still functioning. The other 6, they've been abandoned. Then another problem that we identified is an issue to do with individual plot management. Get to a scheme. A farmer would want to just manage way that he or she wants. And that would a bearing on the productivity and sustainability of that scheme. Then in terms of even if they get a loan from the bank or even paying bills, they are not able because their farm is not structured, it is not market-led. At the end of the day, the sustainability becomes an issue. Also, the other problem that we really are picked from the irrigation schemes. At the moment they do individual crop management, you cannot mechanize. You need to say the new technology cannot be adopted. Hence, it affects even the yield and viability. So this is first coming with that with the model was from a problematic perspective, then coming to come up with the solution. So in terms of our solution to the current problems that are happening in mitigation scheme, that we came up with the scheme business manager model, whereby the scheme has to operate like a business. We employ and deploy scheme business manager. And when we employ and deploy a scheme business manager, when it gets to the irrigation scheme, the first thing is to build a business case for whatever that irrigation scheme is going to do. If they want to go into market to raise the market, what are the profit margins? What labor cost that particular crop needs, and what will be the dividend each farmer will get, and to make sure that the scheme business manager comes up with the business case. The cost of the manager is also factored into that proposal. Then also it will cover the issue to do with the ZINWA, the issue with the maintenance and repairs. So that's really our model to say we have to bring someone the business mind and draft a business case and implement and we evaluate to say, as we employed our business manager on the scheme, what was the status quo at that particular moment? After 3 years, can we really measure impact to say if farmer was getting $2,000 a year, we've moved to what percentage in line with Vision 2030, whereby we are targeting to say income per capita per household should be around 4,000 by 2030. So the business manager that we employ at a scheme, we make sure that they have to grow their crops in a block system and produce the and definitely that will increase profitability of running irrigation schemes. The case point that we have is Bilipani, where we have 180 hectares. Those are syndical license. Our first crop really was wheat last year. Then we had our maize. And dividend is now sitting around, if they're going to get that dividend for the current winter crop, it would be around 5,000 per household. That's for the irrigation scheme, and that's about the plan. It's a new scheme. It was launched by His Excellence, and they advise us to say, can't we replicate that to other irrigation schemes? That's how we came in to manage all the schemes. So in Zimbabwe, we've got 415 billion schemes, and they're sitting on 26,000 hectares. 13,000 currently is irrigable, and 13,000 we really have a plan to rehabilitate and make sure that they are up and running. that's for the first initiative, which is very for my presentation, and also I think the questions around that. Allow me to go back to the other initiatives that we are running as well. We have the daily development program. There are 23 milk collection centers dotted around the country, and initially they were established some time back and they were functional under ARDA. I know there were a lot of donors that funded the DDP program. So we do have a plan to resuscitate them. But this time around, we have a plan to actually commercialize them, make sure that also the same model that we are employing to be also employed to the DDP program, to say we organize those farmers, we reorganize those farmers, then we bring in a number of players, whereby we have the bank, we have the suppliers, we have those guys who do fodder, and sort of come up with a tripartite arrangement with the farmers and make sure that they are up and running. So at the moment, we do have 3 milk collection centers that already have started to, where we've started to implement the DDP program, but copying from the invasion. So we put up a dairy manager, a dairy officer on site, who builds up a business case, then approaches the bank to make sure that it's viable and is also part of the cost for the business. Then I'll move on to the third initiative, that is the extension loan. This is purely in support under the ministry, whereby we're supposed to establish 35,000 gardens, and there'll be 180 gardens. And we're not leaving anyone behind, no place behind this initiative. For the gardens, we're establishing a 1 hectare garden, which will focus more on horticulture and fisheries. So we have 2 ponds, and make sure that we have our honey. But as we do that, you will see ARDA will take the management role, and architects also coming to offer a technical backstopping, but ARDA solely will do that. And AMA will do the marketing side, then AFC will do the financing part of it. But whenever we put up a group for those village gardens, it has to be market ready. AMA will look for the market. And if we don't have the market, we have to process and package and sell it. So to date, we have 4 of them that have been established, and Mango Garden was launched by His Excellency, and Bambi was launched by the Minister. And for the presidential rural development program for horticulture, those Zino is coming in to set up the infrastructure. They will drill a bore, put up a fence. Then the bore, most of them, they are solar powered. Villages around who are within the unit of where we establish a garden, they also benefit to say we put some type of water. So we are also providing clean water to the community, and making sure that our mothers and sisters will be the benefit of caring information. Yeah. So that's for the essential law. So by 2030, we should make sure that we have set up those 35,000 gardens. Then I'll move on to the fourth initiative, that is the integrated education. We were given land 500 hectares for each province, so it's a farm. They were going to put 200 hectares under pivot, where we do co-production and further production. Then we have 90 AFAs for the start. Then we set up other components. So it will be led by a manager and the other staff. Still, we are still adopting the same model of engagement. They have to build up a business case for the incubation. Make sure that it's run commercially profitable, even meet the costs of people that we are going to employ. The reason for setting up that we are targeting the youth to say they come for a training 2 to 3 weeks up to a month, whereby they are trained in introduction, production. Then after a period of 3 weeks or a month, they get certificates. Then they will choose an enterprise that our youth want to venture into. And the certificate that is going to obtain is going to be used to access funding from AFC. Then if he's going to go for broilers or horticulture, also follow up to the stop that youth to make sure that is productive and already we are creating employment for the youth than for them to just be moving around the streets and not generating revenue. So for that one, in terms of AFAs for 8 provinces already provided by the. So after that program was launched by His Excellency, our role is to make sure that it's sustainable, able to generate this one and for them to go back to this class and overburden it. Then lastly, is ARDA on this model, where we see ourselves and where is road development, we think we should generate enough money to run that pillar. It's on the industrialization. On each and every scheme for the fund we really want to put microprocessing plant. Be it we are going to do oil pressing or even non-taking sugar beans, even drying vegetables, packaging them for the local market or even for export. But what is unique, how we've structured our industrialization plan is to say if the farmer produces maize, we buy maize and we process maize into milling. So when we sell milling, if we're going to get a profit of 25 cents, we'll take 13 cents back to the farmer as a post-processing incentive. So that at least we close the gap in terms of what the farmers really want. And they are likely to get more value and more money for any value chain they are currently growing. So that's it for that initiative. Yeah, I think I've come to the end of my presentation. We are trying all the pillars and that group much. Thank you for time. I think I can take some questions.
Oh, thanks, good. So do you have any questions?
Yeah, the funds irrigation.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we should move to that with check the business case.
Yes.
I want to put it to a class. When you have a class that is 18 series of use, and then you say as a teacher, I want to write exams for it. Would that make?
Again, don't wait.
What I'm trying to say is, instead of working on the individual student, so that they can write the exam on their own, rather than the teacher writing the exam, because they are now waiting for those guys. And I also, probably the first thing was to agree on the problems that are identified, so that there's common understanding that this is the real problem. They've missed the problems. And so I see you probably running every project that government is starting. That like the irrigation, like the day that you said you want to do it like irrigation. Those guys own 2 or 3 cars, and they are 15, 10 kilometers from the connection center. And the cows are there. How then do you manage those things?
Okay.
Because I thought, yeah, one of the challenges is to do the market and the selection of the people in the education street. And then I'm saying, probably is art. You can train those guys so that they get into business, because we are saying we want those people to get into business so that you can win them, run their business on their own. That's my question.
Okay. Yeah. Very difficult question, but I'll tackle it. I really acknowledge what you've just said. With this model, to us, we are not going anywhere, because really our future is on industrialization. But for us to industrialize without the product, very difficult. So as we are employing the scheme business managers, why we want those farmers to pay for it, want that scheme business manager to handhold the farm. It's a model that we did want to see it over 5 years, and even in terms of adoption, might not be 100%, but at least you see transformation among the farmers, and they even go and learn from other farmers. I'll take, for instance, the Bupilupani case. I know you have some places that are running big, but if you go around, just around that community, the infrastructure that they are now built, I don't see them to say, even if we say ARDA, we're now pulling up. You know, they the manager, the business admin will be able to take it up. So it's not really, the manager is not for that. It's for the community, but we just want to. Okay. So
maybe this question.
yeah.
Are these groups formalized? Are you formalizing the schemes? Are they in formalized structures, or they remain as like individual groups to those smaller processes?
Yeah, with the new model, we're formalizing them. And I'm glad, maybe I'll say, since we are working on something for different one. But they want them to register is association for them to access fund. So in our model, we take them as an association, not to operate in. What is very key for each and every farmer in the education scheme is to get the data. Even if he comes to the field and work to get a wage. That's the model. So we are in the process to make sure that they are registered.
Thank you. For a long time, for family, maybe the one, especially maybe it should be, maybe the scheme should employ a manager forever. If that's the best way to get the scheme productive. For example, project what if good soils, fertilizer, and I think common property resources with too many people, too many hands. Sometimes I think in some cases it's sort of, I think sometimes outsourcing management may be the best model. And if the scheme is agreeable and the government is in support, to a farmer who is struggling to get $500 $1,000 a year, can under pilot, whether it's a development partner project, whether it's government funded, partnership with ARDA, they can with that support avoid any more income ever end. I don't see why the scheme to take away. If I manage it, giving me more.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how it work. That's all. And I did since for the geographical reason. But I think it is. And for in terms of scheme management, I've often wondered that we know challenges, the innovation challenges in civil service because of the needs of the government. But I've often wondered if there is consideration to make what politics managers which cause conflict in
Yeah.
which cause conflict among and now agriculture are not planning
Yes.
for the scheme. But I think that there are enough enterprises, it doesn't have to even be the scheme, that the dairy model, which I think is still needed, or any other commercial venture in the rural area where management can be outsourced, if that is the best operational model, would making agri-techs part of the management something to consider, and they get paid a commission. This can give them incentive for them. This is how.
Yeah. I think you've observation is very critical and true. But what I can say, with the current model, students management, we do it a commercial approach. What we do in tobacco, say you have a 6-month contract, give a target. If you fail to deliver, there's no room for, of which we cannot do that now to them expect. If they don't deliver, no one chases that. So
maybe they can still do that to someone taking it. I don't know.
it's quite tricky because for us to remove an architect, my own perspective, the architect software is not solved anything. We only devoted 20%, and that's why we're getting all this. And some of those guys, they are not even farmers in those things. So there's no transformation that is there. It's not available, overstayed in that community. So when you want to go to commercial route, definitely they might not take you serious. So when you employ our skill development, part of his or her KPI, they have to do the productivity, the meaning to say we measure his or her performance, farmer getting a deal, not just maintaining the don't. So it is something that we are looking into, and where we have been so successful. I think there's been some conflict to say farmers they no longer want to expect their manager, they have to take it. Then maybe I'll move on to in terms of the management, how we've structured it. As long as the team is big, it focuses on the so at the end of the day, yes, deal might be in anything than there is no. So it's more on business, how sustainable it is, how profitable it is.
You should also consider detect farmers in the cattle day should consider business models, branching the business models. Then I think it's sort of possible many hurdles to jump, but I think this is the right direction. We spoke to commercialize many centralized.
So I think I still need to come back to it. Highlighted for the GDP. Yeah, I think the geographical setup is something that we are looking into. But our main thrust for the GDP is on the processing part. They were looking at yogurt and milk. Selling milk has made those MCCs to collapse. It's not possible. And that the Kuruya one it's a good case that we are looking into. Because where they are doing production is where they are selling their milk. Selling their milk, but they've got points that they are processing it around in a 10 kilometers. Exactly. So it's something that we are also looking into, and we are also prepared to learn from other countries how they are doing it, and also other developing partners how they are doing it, where we can collaborate. It's something that we believe we are looking into, but we have to make sure that we have to run like a business, make sure that we can sustain their own functions.
So I've got a question on that here, from Wulasani STC. Please clarify on the ARDA mandate of managing all irrigation schemes in Zimbabwe. Does this refer to all schemes, including smallholder schemes? How does ARDA work with EFAD on irrigation schemes?
That's a good question. We're given this mandate to look at all small. But those 450, they are located in. But our relationship with IFAD, they came on board. I think we now have a scope of it, how best can we collaborate. But mainly we are partnering in training and also on the rehabilitation part of it. From our side, we know in the GOI, Department of Irrigation, they do the rehabilitation. But we are finding a way to come up together and sort of make sure that we don't duplicate or fund some of these engagement schemes. Where IFAD is the rehabilitating, we come in just to implement the model. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. Yeah.
Thank you. So this strategy, commercialization strategy that ARDA is going down, is there experience from other countries which ARDA maybe copied the model, or is this Zimbabwean grown? Or maybe even, I don't know if you know the history of it, of how that came.
Yeah, if my memory serves me well, I think Dr. once highlighted, I think around 1980, he had the model and that way, but 3 years down the line, backwards, when I went to 2017, how we implemented the film. Fortunately, I was wrong with it, but I was getting my salary for the schemes that I was managing. When I left, they really wanted to say, so we just had to take it up. Say, why can't we take up this one? Just push it up, make sure that it can be more, can even to adopt it as a strategy, government for others. So it's not something which is FAO project was being funded by SDC. Came up with this. It just had to take it up and make it slightly more on the commercial.
So then I think you mentioned 9 out of 14 are still working.
Yeah.
So what are the key lessons from those 9 that made them more successful than the others that failed?
From my own observation, the 6 which are not functioning was, I think, they in any implementation, you have to very much. So some of these skills, they didn't have enough time to have the money to take through. But for those, when we started the power one, where we did have the money now, even there for 3-4 years, they're still up and running. But these ones, I think it was a year or even less way. And so that could be the cause for them to collapse. But in terms of adoption in any environment, around 30 to 40%. So for me, they did a very good job to say out of the 49, they are still happened.
And those 9, do they still have managers?
They do. They now have an
Okay.
Yeah.
But the farmers, there must have been a period where they didn't have a manager because maybe
Yeah.
the farmers, they wouldn't employ a
Yeah.
manager.
Yeah, they could do. Was something that's different. We even advise them to take out the but it's implement, but not in a big timeline. So the farmers they were keen, but we are going to lead to pay for them, sort of mentor them, then and on their own. So again, I think it's a model that we have made. Taken this far 1980s it was.
So let's take Elliot and then Robson.
Okay, thanks so much. Would like to be an unfair person to actually.
Your other questions were unfair as well.
Because the guy recently joined, and the other is 23 estates.
Yes.
And probably you're not yet really convinced that you are able to commercially run those 23 estates on the satisfaction of people. Now we are taking another responsibility where we are saying, maybe someone is struggling to run this business. Then you want to say, I can run another business. Therefore, someone. Okay, yet we are saying you have your estates that are not probably unless you change. But the last that I did, there are other estates that you are not running properly. And it's good that you took around. Yes, need your estates, they are not running.
Yeah, I think a lot for that. Before I joined that, I think I had the same. I really share what you said. But we have a new manager for division and that leadership. Some of the farms that you think they are not, I'm different in that. It's only used to so you will find you do have a might say 2-3 years going forward, you may have some very major other facts. Then you put in other no. People still say other products, but it's not ours. But of the 23 pieces that are under most of them they are under partnership. We came with their own some of them are under 25. And those they are not utilized. But in fact, they started to work some of the new and they on our own. So we are only designed project to verify. Meaning to say we are not doing to say we are not doing a very good job. But if you go to Glenn's site today, we are changing.
It's work in progress. Robson, you have a question?
Not a question as such, but I might pick up some questions that I've been thinking. I'm working in Shuru, and I'm working with 8 irrigation. The smallest is 2 hectares. The biggest is 40 hectares. Right? When I went to Shuru in 2019, my year was 4. 2 years down the line, forward. From the challenge that I got from we are really excited to have business managers on the scene to manage farmers. But I think there is more
to it than management. Right? You are going to farmers who are still farmers who do not have knowledge. Most of the farmers are now very old. Those schemes were demarcated like we have got two different schemes, right? One scheme is a 15-hectare scheme. Farmers work as one unit. It's managed by the management committee, which is led by some late chair, right? She can organize people while they work together, right? And we are happy. There's now a manager in the field. I think it's now 2 weeks old. But our challenge is even people using all flood education. They don't have funding. We have been there for 3 years trying to convince banks to loan them. No avail. And the other model is most of the models are in a scheme. A farmer who is now very old is working with his wife and probably 2 kids on a half-elected block. Getting them to work together is a mission. Very difficult. Listening to technical advice, very difficult. And so we have seen a business manager on 15-hectare one. Then we have got 1-2-hectare irrigation scheme. The farmers started on their own. It flourishes year round. And there's a manager on a 2-hectare farm. I don't think they will be able to. Yeah. What we have also noted, I think you need to sacrifice those managers each time. The 3 I have seen, they are very young. I think they are fresh from school. One has been pushed onto the first 15-hectare block is a remote area. He's staying in a shed. Not very good. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that's going to demotivate and I think it has to be a package. Yeah. Then what are we going to do to make the farmers listen to this manager? There is also an architect guy who is also struggling. We have been there for years. Who is struggling to get technical advice to farmers. Now there is another manager. Are you working with architects at all?
Yes.
Since there's a bit of some conflict between architects and others.
Yeah, there is a little bit on that.
Sure, we have seen that.
But I think the issue has to do with keeping the manager in the government. But always come in for something. As long as the farmer sees the benefit and the value, keep it. Even those conflicts that they are saying that conflict. The architect's office will support. Like knowledgeable, is able to engage, able to do business. I'll give for example myself when I was at Roche Education, one of the most difficult schemes. There were 2 supervisors. They were part of my students. Being technical is easy, but I would always push them business side of things. Make sure that we are not competing, but let's look at the farm.
Yeah, but where I see a problem with that is I'm going to this scheme. I'm actually excited about the manager.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I also, for me to work as an NGO, architects is a big part of us.
Yes.
Right. If I go to an education scheme, I see a manager, I'm excited. Then I go to the district head for architects. Say, hey, that has introduced the manager at this scheme. We are excited. What? Manager? I don't know. I think there's
Yeah.
conflict.
I really agree to
I think
that.
you need to deal with that.
Yeah, we need to deal with that, but I think from our level, yeah, I think there's that resistance to say, think we're not missing out. That's not the concept. Because we are not there to stay. We're there to set up a network that we benefit from this impact. I think that's where we are missing. Only every Monday we meet with our heads. Yeah, in agreement, but when you go down there, there's a lot of getting might be told you. But it's not the case. The irrigation schemes mandated the given. Even if they want to get the PIP, they're coming through. But as we go on the scheme, we have to collaborate and support the farm. So that one goes back to you to end individual. What is our objective? What is it that we want the farmer to achieve from whatever that we are going to do? So I think that's to do with the personality. Even if you go to the DA, definition of personality, do we share the same? Do we share the same strategy? But it's something that we are working on. I know to get to 2025, we should be for their weekend, they was they put a lot of the concept. They put a lot in their plate, but they can't show the
Yeah, but they have got specific answers
for the yeah. Thank you for highlighting that. Something that we
So there's one more question before we get on to Robson's presentation. You had two questions. The first one was, how will you get farmers to listen?
quite a difficult one, but we are not forcing them to part of them. Initially, when we engage them, we explain the model and how it is going to happen. But as long as the farmers see the benefit, so out of the 450 engage so far, and we have the target to complete that. So it's not like we are going to be scheming positive. So maybe the farmers, maybe the stakeholders. If they want to work with us, they don't. I'm not enforcing ourselves.
Yeah, I'm sure if you guys are like me, I've still got 101 questions, but we need to move on. But thanks so much, Kuda. It was really quite an eye opener. So for anyone involved in horticulture, Robson Bambi must be one of the most experienced in Zimbabwe and also in Mozambique. He has a long history of working both in the private sector and the development sector. So it's really great to have you here to take us through the model. But I know you'll be drawing from all your experience as you chat to us. Thank you, Robson.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Robson Wambe. As Mike has said, this year is going to be my year 31 in export horticulture. And I started working with the big commercial farmers here in Zim. Then I went to Mozambique. But the most exciting part of that was when I was working with small-scale farmers, both in Mozambique and Zimbabwe. And when I left the private sector, I joined TechnoServe in 2019. I think these are my final working days. As I told you, I'm now turning gray because of working with these small-scale farmers. Very passionate about rural development because I was born and bred in a rural farming family. Also doing horticulture. That's the gift that I gave my father. He wanted me to start agriculture. I didn't want to at all. And also worked on horticulture. I started working at Vertical Produce, then Kondozi Fresh Export, Mission Mitchell, Vanduzi, quite a number of them. Okay. TechnoServe is, I think you all know it, it's a US-based NGO, which is in 39 countries. Our head office is in the States, but we have got a regional office in South Africa, which is headed by some Zimbabwean lady by the name Pamela Chitene. Then we've got our country office, which is here next to ARDA. Very small. Probably doesn't know where our office is, but from this presentation, we are actually excited to have business managers to manage education schemes. So, okay, that's TechnoServe's mission to fight poverty by helping people. These are actually small-scale farmers to build regenerative farms, businesses, markets, and also increase income. Don't do it for me too. Oh, okay. Okay. So we help grow strong markets that create opportunities and incomes for poor people. I'm not good at this thing. Can you move on? I'll ask you when I need. Yeah, so that's our approach. Next slide. Okay, in Zimbabwe, TechnoServe is running two different programs. One is in Manicaland. Move on, sorry. Okay, this is on revival of coffee production and exports from Zimbabwe. It's actually funded by Nespresso, and IFC is also coming in to complement Nespresso. Still on the same slide. Okay, so all the coffee in Manicaland from, it's actually not Manica province, but it's Manicaland. So we've got Mutare, Mutasa district in Wonde Valley, Chimanimani, and Chipinge, working with 750 smallholder farmers. They all sell through the Zimbabwean coffee in Mutare. It has been branded Tamuka Zimbabwe, the project. They also have got a brand which is now on the world market of coffee, which is called Tamuka Zimbabwe coffee, which is now on the global market. Right? This is headed by someone else, Dr. Miguel. My area is the one which is called Takura, which is actually, it's an Anglo-American social development program, which is around Shuru and partly in Beru. Anglo-American owns Unki Platinum Mine, which is along the dike in Shurubi. If you go down the escarpment, go down what is called Botereko. So what we have done is we have partnered Anglo-American as their technical partner, working with smallholder farmers who are around their sphere of influence in Shurubi and also partly in Lower Beru. So we are working on 3 value chains, namely horticulture, beef, and poultry. And so far, we have worked with close to 600 smallholder farmers. We are working on 8 irrigation schemes. Out of the 8, we now have 3 with business managers. Yeah. We hope we have 4 with managers just to manage the farmers. luckily for us, we have got a funding partner with Anglo. So Anglo American is actually putting in funds to help the farmers in some, not all their requirements, but in some instances like technical development, Anglo actually pays for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 3 different value chains, what we have done so far. We went into Shuruki in 2019. Most of irrigation schemes were actually redundant because the farmers have funding for input. The irrigation equipment, most of it is now old. We couldn't change that. We are still using the old equipment in most cases. Then the farmers didn't have markets at all for selling produce, not even tomatoes. And when we went in 2019, Shurubi is not a very good rainfall area. Actually, when we went in 2019, it was like almost a drought. All right. But to date, what we have done with we actually worked with the first 2 years, we worked with 5 irrigation schemes. We actually went in end of 2019. So in fact, we actually started working on the schemes in 2020 up to 2022. Right. So to date, we have actually managed to export from 5 irrigation schemes to export snow peas, both mash to and sugar snaps to markets in Germany, UK, the Netherlands. And when we went in there, those were actually our core crops. We just wanted to do exports. And after a season of doing it, we actually thought we were doing it the wrong way because with peas, they're actually seasonal. When we went into the schemes, they were redundant, most of them. So when we introduced peas, you only grow peas like in winter. Then in summer, nothing else. So after 2020, we actually adopted what we call a whole farm management approach, whereby we started incorporating other crops. But this is when the presidential wheat program came in. So we now rotate wheat with peas. And also we have introduced other small horticultural crops like tomatoes, beans. With beans, we've partnered other companies to produce seed for them. It's also good that we are getting the farmers getting technical standards like global gap. We haven't really got there, but we have trained the farmers, and I think next season, most of producing farmers will actually be global gap accredited. Now you talked about your industrialization approach. With our farmers, we're actually constructing the packhouse so that they deliver produce. It becomes an aggregation center for this is a proper packhouse to international standard, whereby they will deliver their peas, grade and pack before selling. Then we also want to use that as an aggregation center for some of the local crops, like if you want to deliver tomatoes to supermarkets, we aggregate first. Okay, that's the map, the Shurugi map. So the packhouse I'm talking of is going to be there. We have already started constructing. The 8 irrigation schemes we've got, those 2 at the top in Sukamin and London, they are actually in Lower Grave. Then we have got Unkiman there, the green one. Then Shungudzev is an irrigation scheme. Gonya is an irrigation scheme. Shungudzev is 20 hectares. Gonya is 2 hectares. Chuni is 2 hectares. Then we have got Tabuta, which is 15 hectares. Zananda It's about 20 hectares. We have got another one which is closer to the backhouse that is just 15, which is 40 hectares. And close to Punkiman, we have got a 9th irrigation scheme, which has got 220 hectares and that was lying idle since May. And we are targeting. We couldn't produce with them over the past 3 years. The design of the irrigation system doesn't work for the farmers. Poorly done. The 2 irrigation fields, they are just sitting. New, never moved. They were only tested. But they can't pump water from the river. If they start pumping water from the river, they will pump in sand. It's heavily silted. But the engineers went there, placed pumps there. Farmers can't wait. So it's now 5 years old. What we also do before we engage farmers, right? We have got 3 major things that we do. We first look for a market for whatever we want to produce, right? Then we look for funding, right? And provide the technical backup. I'm the overall manager for the project, but I've got 2 agronomists. Then I've got 6 field officers who are actually all motorized on bikes. So they visit farmers on a very regular basis. This is all powered by ANVAME, funded by ANVAME. So FAIU is an poultry of tech. If you walk into any big supermarket, you will see a brand which is called Baba John. I think you know it. It's labeled red. It's owned by Trevor Shaw and family, Trevor Shaw and wife and kids. They run the show. Then we have got Link Foods. It's actually a vegetable exporting company, which is it's also a family business, which is just on the outskirts of where. So we have linked our poultry farmers to FAIU farms, then our horticultural farmers to Link Foods, and we export through Link Foods. Then for cattle, we are actually linked to MC Meats, MC Casual Meats. They have put in abattoir in Kwekwe and also in Machine, but we are attached to the Machine one. Okay. Go to the next one before this one. I wanted to swap them around. I want to talk about horticulture first. So the whole program, all right, is named Takura. This is from, we wanted a local name to brand it with a local name. We consulted with farmers and they chose the word Takura. So it's called Anglo Takura horticultural program. Anglo is the funding organization. So what we are doing is we go to an irrigation scheme, we train the farmers, we attach a technical person, the field officer, who in turn train the farmers and also train the agri-tech guy. I'm sure we'll be training the business managers on the profit side, like agronomic practices, like peas are a new crop to them. So, like I said, when we started the first year, we were only concentrating on managed to peas. That's managed to peas from a small scale farmer. And after the second year, we took a whole farm management approach. Right? Each irrigation scheme will have its own business approach. So we have now decided to go into potatoes, starting very small. because we need to train farmers on how to grow potatoes properly. And these potatoes are actually linked to link foods. They've got a big market for potatoes in Harare and Bulawayo. So we're actually tapping into their market. Then we have got green mills. That's that piece, right? What we have also managed to do with the off-taker, we actually got funding to construct a solar-powered cold room. So that's the packers. You see the solar panels. Then there's a solar, which is able to store 6 tons of produce at any one time. The challenge was when we started producing with small-scale farmers. This farm also does flowers, so we were always running out of space. Then we got funding to get a solar cold room before we start building on our own packouts. So what we have seen over the past, we started in 2020, we did 2020 winter season, 2021 with peas, 2022 has been our season. It has been a big training program for the farmers because they are now changing from their old crops like tomatoes, leaf vegetables to something of high technical standard like mulch 2 and sugar snake peas. So we have seen an increase in both quality and also in yield. We still need to yield more. And 2021, we exported 11 tons. They produced very good crops. But the challenge was picking to spec the size of the peas because they were used to growing tomatoes. You pick a tomato, it's fully red, but when you try and train the farmer that we need that size of pea, and they don't understand that peas, the type of pea that we are growing, it's an edible podded type. You don't need any seed inside. They are used to shelling peas. So we have to change the mindset of farmers. And a lot of them, they have actually mastered the art of growing peas. So 2021, we exported 11 tons only. This year we have gone up to 30 tons. Then the farmers would be rotating the peas. What we train the farmers is soon after harvesting peas, we normally do early peas. They normally finish like in July, August. So we train them to follow up with a rotational crop, right? So in our case, this corn crop, it's actually for green mills, planted after your peas, planted in August. And what you are doing is you're actually using the residual fertilizer from the peas, and at the same time rotating your land. What also happens with our the field officers, the technical guys, we actually call them farmer trainers. Theirs is to train the farmers all the time, from land prep, harvesting, everything. It's like if each scheme we have a dedicated farmer trainer. Right. So they now adopt good agricultural practices that we want. Move on to the next one. The other one. Sorry. Yeah. So what we have done on poultry and beef, all right. We have developed what we call Takura Smart Villages, and we have developed 3 of them in 3 different wards of Shurubi as models. So what we do is we go to a site. Anglo-American actually supports the farmers with all the building material that they want, right? Local stuff, bricks, mortar, sand, it's actually for the farmers to provide. So what we have done is we have grouped the farmers into, for both their groups of 10, of which the minimum should be 80% women in that group. So they help in building a structure which will actually accommodate at least 5,000 beds. It's a 50 by 10 square meter poultry house, that one. That one, which is there, right? And next to it, we actually construct a biogas digester for heating. The unit is also solar powered for lighting. For watering, it's actually, I don't know whether you see that picture, not very clear, but it has got automated liquid drink. Right. So we identify with the help of architects, the Rural District Council, the local leadership, we identify an area where we fence out, right? The smallest is 10 hectares. The biggest is 15 hectares. So in one unit, you put that poultry unit. Then we also have got pen fattening facilities in the same area, fenced area. What we have also done is to develop a commercial pasture, right? We actually noted the places they are heavily overgrazed. So for the farmers to have supplementary feed for their cattle, we planted Catambora rot grass. We've done Catambora rot grass and giant star grass, which is all rain fed. But when we plant, we train the farmers that no, you must grow this like a normal crop. So you have to do your land prep nicely. We buy commercial seed, which is supported by Anglo-American. You also plant fertilizer. At some stage, you also top dress it, and you plant it with plants. Right? The areas are too small to graze. So what they do is they actually cut and feed the animals as supplementary feed. What we have also done, that for your interest, in that unit, we have developed a 1 hectare. We don't want to call it a nutritional garden because we want to commercialize it. Right? We want to commercialize that garden. We don't want to grow only leaf vegetables, not only tomatoes. We also want to farm because it's 1 hectare. You can actually do, if you do a quarter of a hectare of peas in 10 minutes, they actually raise money, right? It has been fitted with a drip irrigation system. Right? So we have only developed 2 of those as models, and so far so good. It's working very well. Right? Then in terms of pen fattening, it's actually in the same unit. What we intend to do is the cattle farmers will actually cut the Catambora rot grass. Not the cattle farmers. The poultry ladies will actually cut some of the grass to use as bedding for their chickens. Right? So after the chickens are harvested, they actually collect that animal, the bedding with chicken droppings, then feed your cattle. Right? The cattle actually produce dung, which is used in the biodigesters. Then from the biodigesters, the byproduct, which is the manure, it goes back to the nutritional garden. Each site has got a bowl, which is also solar powered. Right? What we are doing now is the farmers, through their own initiative, they are actually increasing the capacity of the tanks by building tanks, right? What we have also done with the pastures is we have grown legumes like velvet bean, lab is high protein pastures. Yeah, so we are calling these smart villages. So what happens with the chickens? We have got an off-taker with called Fayu Farm that I mentioned. Okay? Very supportive. What he does is he has got his own technical person, right? He is linked to a number of HRs, and he pays for the chicks, right? At any cycle, each unit will get 5,000 beds, right? So the chicks are delivered either from Ivan or from Ashingo chicks to the sites, right? Then Fayu farms also deliver feed, vaccines, right? And we provide technical backup. We've got one guy who used to work for Ivans, who is actually helping out the farmers with training, commercial chicken production. Then when the chickens are ready, at 6 weeks, Fayu Farms bring his own trucks. He collects all the chickens, right? The farmers will also, like they send representatives to see how the chickens are actually handled. And every group has got a management committee. When the chickens are slaughtered, sold, Trevor pays the farmers through each group. We have a bank account, right? The same for peas. Each individual farmer we have a bank account. So the off-taker will just transfer money into the individuals. And payment for peas is based on the RBZ retention rate, which is now, I think, 75-25. Next slide. Unfortunately for the beef value chain, we have had serious challenges with when we started getting January disease. Farmers in Bruma, farmers around Shulupi, in Gweru, because they had lost a lot of cattle when we started getting the disease. In 2020, end of 2020, when we thought prices were actually going up, prices actually started nosediving because other farmers around, they were actually panic selling their beasts. They could sell a beast like for $50. Yeah. So most of the beef guys, they are holding on to stock. They've got lots of cattle. This actually includes the big off-takers like NC. They were also buying from the communities. Because the farmers say, hey, please help us. Instead of me losing my cattle, why don't you buy it for $100? So the price of beef is too low. So what we are doing with the farmers, this is advice that we got from MC Meat. We are just maintaining the cattle in a healthy condition, like feeding them using the hay from the pastures and also supplementing protein with protein mix, something like that. Then we have also embarked on an artificial insemination program to try and improve the breeds for long-term purposes. So we have partnered with the Chinhoyi University of Science and Technology. They've got a very good artificial insemination program that they do jointly with the Ministry of Higher Education. So they train farmers on how to do it. So we have sent our farmers, lead farmers, agri-tax officials, vet officers, and our own farmers. They are currently being trained. When they come back, they will actually cascade the training to the farmers. And what we need to do is to motivate the farmers to improve their breeds. So when we went in 2019, these are some of the problems that we noted. Most of the irrigation schemes were dysfunctional because the main thing was funding for it. Then secondly, markets. The road network in Shurugu was really bad. Most of the schemes were difficult to access. But we actually solved that on until when we had buy-in from what they call the Tongogara Road Transfer, which runs Shurugu. And they've actually, this year, they have created all the roads, even to the sites, even to the poultry units. Right? So by building the poultry units, that was more development by the Tongogara Road. So when we started the project, people were saying, even some of the government officials, these guys, but now we actually have got good buy-in. Then, so I mentioned we have gotten access to market components, access to finance. Most of the banks, most of the microfinance houses, they were scared to lend to the farmers. And our first 2 years, Anglo-American actually chipped to fund. They even went further to fund for the farmers to grow crops. So our first 2 years, 3 years was 20. It was actually 2020 to 2022. That's what we are calling phase one. Our first phase, the phase one actually ends end of this year. We are now wanting to move into phase two, but we have actually developed not all the farmers, but a large proportion of the farmers are now commercial farmers. They can now produce much to piece better and also being able to access export markets. There are green mini crops yields have increased because of good rotational practices. We have created jobs. That's the ultimate goal for Anglo-American. What they want to do is, for every one person who is employed at the mine, they want to create 4 more jobs in the local community. And when a farmer starts farming his plot, it's a job. If the kids are working on the plot, it's a job. They also recruit labor, which come and work in their farms. Then when we were building, we also quite a number of things which where we employed by this intervention. So we are hoping for a phase 2, where we hope to cascade and also increase on the number of farmers, on the different poultry units, engage more irrigation schemes, increase volume. What we are now doing is we have started since 2022. We are now working with some individual farmers who are in the areas to try and complement, because now when we build a pack house, we need volume. So whoever wants to produce is welcome, as long as you are within our own distance to the pack house. So then it shall come a time when us as TechnoServe, right? So we are thinking of ways of getting this thing sustainable long term, right? We have started working with different stakeholders to develop what we are going to call a Takura Trust, right? Which is going to be owned by the farmers, but it will have a board which will consist of architects, ARDA, AMA, the DDC, formerly DA, the Tongo Gararo District Council. Some local business people have also expressed interest to be there to try and help the farmers make this trust profitable, right? The trust will own the packhouse. It should run like a business, a profitable business, but to try and help the farmers. So the trust will take over. Next slide, please. Next one. Okay, those are the roles of the trust. It will do the market engagement, access to finance. It's what we are doing currently. So what we think is in the next phase, which is going to be a 3-year phase, our big mission would be to try and capacitate the trust, right, to be able to run the activities of the project, right, from technical assistance, running the pack house, looking for market. So we'll be capacitating them, the trust over the next 3 years. The trust deed has already been done, the draft. It's now at the deed office to be formalized. Yeah, so that's the structure of the trust. They found that trustees will be there as TechnoServe. Then we also have Anglo-American. These will be like honorary positions, not paid for. But the trust will have to hire staff like a packhouse manager. Then the technical guys, officers, will be hired. Next one. Yeah, some of the key partners we are working with that list, which also it's good that I think at the bottom too. Okay, next one. Yeah, that's the project in pictures. So that's a pig crop, mash peas, sugar snake peas. This is the site where they are building the packhouse. We have already received the materials for the packhouse. Those are panels. Work is actually in progress. We are putting a big steel structure. It's going to be a proper packhouse. Big steel structure which will have cold rooms. All the cold materials are there. We are now negotiating with Anglo-American to also have it solar powered. But the solar power will also back it up with this. Thank you.
Any questions for?
You mentioned the not working.
Yeah.
Being a small scale mining area, is that due to volcanic things?
Yes, it's actually, I think it's a prolonged problem from the past because of artisanal mining. Yeah, the river is just frozen.
Okay, so I mean, think about it.
I think if we bring irrigation lines, if there's room, we can actually have a visible thing outside. Through walls. Yeah. I don't think filters will work. Yeah, it's like what will happen is in summer you see the river is flowing. You won't see the silt until when it doesn't last for 2 months, then you see all the water.
Come close to people online can see. Yes.
On this basis,
Yes.
first of all, I'd like to set this done. I do think that we need donors and Americans demonstrate the model so that we can from the just how the our farmers responding to the retention rate. You said it's now 75.5.
Yeah, actually 2022, it only changed toward the end of, it actually changed in July. They get, it was actually 60-40.
Yes,
Like
that's where
the bulk of the farmers for this season, for 2022 winter, they were paid at 60% US, 40% other regions.
That's because we were having problems. And we have problems with retention. So how is it?
It's now a game of numbers. We just have to get good use. Right. We just have to get good use. Right. Yeah. We just have to get yeah.
Make sure that
Yeah. For example, the best farmer this year who grew 0.2 hectares at a net of 750, which is $350 per 0.1. Yeah, it's a small area. But then $700, 60%, like $400 and something will be US. Right? And the other 40% will be RTGs. And where the farmer goes to the bank, at any one point, the farmer is only able to draw 5,000 per point. We have to live with it. We try to lobby with the RBZ to try and then all of a sudden there was a 75 to, I think it's currently at 75 to 25.
that's it.
At your share rate. No, it's the 25% that they get at our bank rate. The 75% US dollars. It's into a bank and the farmer can withdraw. Yeah, what our off-taker has also done, but because he has got other businesses, he can opt to pay the farmer's cash.
Okay.
Yeah, he can opt to pay the farmer's cash. Yeah, then the farmers will get cash, but the other 25%, he has to be seen that he has paid the farmer's cash. So we have partnered with Sevo who want farmers to produce for Sevo for the mine. Yeah.
First, the other one, I'm taking out information from decades ago. I can't remember where I find when my wife controls nematode.
Yes, it does.
So, is it helping in the rotations?
No, we are not using it in the rotations. It's also difficult in communal setups because of their small nature of the land. So it's only being done for in the pasture lands. Yeah. But it will also control erosion in the pasture lands. Yeah. So what we are doing is we have grown the Katambora roads grass in the units, defense units, but we are encouraging farmers to also have a seed and plant outside in their dry land areas. Right? Like the units will also the legumes like velvet bean, lab, the farmers will actually harvest seed and sell to the outside farmers. So, yeah.
Rain fed is not hard.
Yeah, Katambura is drought resistant, velvet bean, blah.
That's true. How are you getting into fertilizer with fertilizer? Like, I mean,
Okay.
fertilizer about what?
Yeah,
Never
this is-
designed.
Yeah, what we do is, even when they are planting peas, right, we manage the inputs ourselves, right? Because if we do not supervise the inputs, these are inputs like for the pastures, right? These were actually funded by Anvano just to get them started, train them, yes, and to also train them that if you grow your Katambora roots plus using fertilizer, it will grow well. It should be very, very same, most of the parts. And if you plant the grass with no fertilizer, it comes to nothing.
Last question.
Yes.
Infrastructure. The centers, the tech houses.
It's only one person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I was. For a similar project in Woke,
Yeah,
ABC,
yeah.
where the farmers and I work for Velotumayo. I think we're also in the
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's part of the
Mhm.
which is under LHP. Yeah, the trust issue, just I don't know. I've seen this project here. I'm not yet convinced.
We have done,
It's impossible.
we are actually building from one which we also did. And yeah, this was for beef, and we actually hired experts for this. Right? And we are getting buy-in from government, the local people. It has to run for sustainability for this. Yeah.
It is definitely needed, but
Yeah, I think it's difficult to start it.
the composition of the trustees,
Yeah.
they need someone to keep it going.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. We'll be glad to learn.
So just maybe keeping on that, just I've got a few questions around sustainability, but
Yes.
just a few because we've run over time.
Uh,
So has Linkfield invested in this model at all?
Not at all. That's the bucket. But Linkfield is also going to be part of the on the board of trustees. What we also think is that by developing our own papers, we don't want to rely on Linkfield forever. We are only using Linkfield as a launching pad, right? We can actually get if we get a standard packhouse, we actually want to build a packhouse which is actually far much better than the ones. Then if we get the standards, right, we should be able to get our own market. Then we export directly, thereby increasing the price of the products, which is more revenue for the small scale farmers.
So keeping to the theme of the pack house, I don't need to tell you how complicated, how complex a pack house operation is.
Yeah.
You're there till 2025, and then you're going to put it into the hands of a fledgling trust.
We will be working with the trust from now to 2025. Yeah. Anglo is also keeping an eye.
Distant.
No, because it's their money. They funded this thing. They want to see it work. Yeah. Then we have got local business people to also try and support it. We also want we have got quite a number of farmers. We have also indicated interest in using it, including the Midlands University farm, the one which used to be Smith's farm, Glenoro farm, yeah.
Maybe your retirement job can be operating that pack house.
I've had enough gray.
So then TechnoServe is very invested in this. You mentioned a whole list of personnel employed by the project.
Yeah.
Yet in a few years' time, those people aren't going to be.
Yeah, what's the ultimate goal is to get, what we did is when we started this project, we only had 3 officers. No, we had 2 we had 1 agronomist and 2 officers. Then in the second year of the project, we actually employed officers who used to be architects officers. We actually poached from architects. What we wanted to do was to get local people, all right? And the hope is when the trust starts generating revenue, when TechnoServe goes away, they will take over that technical staff who are actually from Shululu. Yeah.
And pesticide residues, do you do all the spraying?
Yes, what we have done is we have trained, we bought the equipment like mist blowers that motorized knapsacks. They are owned by the trust, they are owned by the trust. For now, they are owned by TechnoServe. We manage them. So we have trained some guys at every irrigation scheme. They are trained people, right? Who are trained on safe use of pesticides. The ultimate goal is to go global again. So we are busy training farmers. Then we have got these players trained. The mist blowers are actually taken around, they are rotated. We supervise them. The residue testing is done through link fields. It's just sent to the market, just like any other.
Well, I think you've got a lot to do in the next couple of years. And I can sense, I can now understand
The gray.
your grey hair, but also your big welcome to ARDA, who have
Yes.
now put these managers there.
Yeah.
Because
It's going to be of great help.
out of for sustainability, they are going to be ARDA should have been at the top of that list. I think they're going to be, I think, crucial in helping that.
Yeah. But for the managers who are actually coming to the schemes we are dealing with, most of the schemes they are already productive. Like the one mentioned by Mem, Gonya irrigation scheme, it's a 2.3, 2 to 3 hectares. They are already, so they can do their own things. They can fund their inputs, right? And they were happy with the process that they got from. Yeah, it hasn't been easy. No. At one point, we actually grew fine beans, right? To try and rotate. In winter, we did peas. Then in summer, we did fine beans. They did very nice beans, but the market collapsed. And we delivered, it was not sold. But for us to leave the farmers like that, we had to compensate farmers as TechnoServe. Just pay them off so that they don't get to waste their conditions. Farmers are here. It's difficult in the irrigation schemes. Some farmers they don't want to work. They are lazy. They don't want to work. The problem with some of the schemes which are close to the mine, when the mine started, it was just donating things. And they've got that serious dependence syndrome, and also being Shuluk because of erratic rains. The whole of Shuluk has been dependent on food handouts. Even when it's a good rain season, they don't want to work. They want to rely on food handouts. To worsen the situation, we have got a lot of artists now about mining. I think we are getting
that level, right? Yeah. You have to learn from you, especially on the trust issue. I think it's, composition.
Yeah, we are simulating the one which we have done, which is working. It has been running for 2 years. We also have on the backdrop, we also have got one which has failed in Shuluk. It was called the Tombogara Broad District. And so ownership trust. The mine actually injected a lot of money, but I think it was hijacked. It only failed because it was hijacked by others who wanted the money.
Yeah, there were those issues.
Those were actually, the money was donated. Yeah. So we are trying to learn from all that. It has to work.
No, definitely has to work. As we said, we have got the project ABC, and I think that's the way to go. The project ABC, WHH is also part of the trust.
Okay.
And then, so I'm just reflecting on the positives and negatives that are happening on the journey. We're still on the journey.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that from that lesson, yeah, the focus seems to be done, but I think it can.
So I think we've got to stop there. Thank you, Wilson. And thank you, Kuda, as well. I think it's been a really, for me, very interesting afternoon, learning of all the experiences and the visions that you guys have in your projects. So
If you need to know more,
The presentation, you said?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. I'd like to continue a discussion with both of you. But anyway, thanks very much for coming, everyone, to your attendance, and I think we'll call that the day.
Definitely. Phase 2.